Right.
Before the learned attorney had a meeting with the officials, I also had a meeting with the officials. And at the official level, my lord, they also agree that it needs a relook.
As far as the court's opinion that other endorsement may not be required, maybe slightly on overboard. That statement.
If the existing now Devangan has held the field for a while, right? That has interpreted the provisions of the law. Now, it's always open to the legislature to Parliament, because Devangan is of 2017. It's held the field for 6 years.
That's right.
It is also always open to Parliament to take away the basis of the judgment.
That's open. I mean,
and particularly when the government has implemented it. And why should we withdraw or reconsider the judgment at this stage? And if you are thinking that the judgment is not in line with the statutory position, then if you are willing to amend it as and when you want, and change the structure of law. For us to, why should we?
No, that you'll not know that process. The thought process already set in motion. But the question is today, what should happen to the notifications and all?
Have you said in your note that the government has set in motion a change in the law, or to review the entire position of law? Because, you know, this is really, this case doesn't raise a constitutional issue. It raises a pure statutory issue.
I understand that. But the question posed to the AG was only how do you look at the notifications, and then the notification to endorse the view taken in the judgment.
No, what we were wondering was that the government can, in the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways and even otherwise, can take a note of whether this interpretation, the consequence of that interpretation is correct or otherwise. If you feel that no, Devangan is wrong and therefore it has to be overruled, you can make suitable amendments to the law to put the matter beyond doubt.
Yeah, that's
a simple amendment to say that, well, if you have a license for this category LMV, you cannot have that license cannot apply with respect to a transport vehicle. A simple amendment will resolve it. But then
the advantage of prospectivity also. Yeah. Or is there another?
I know that course of action is certainly open to the government, but
that may then also not cause hardship to existing compensation claims which have been submitted.
On that, I'm very clear. It should not have any upsetting.
Those people who have made compensation claims on the basis of Devangan's judgment.
We are very clear on that. I don't think that issue should be reopened at all.
Also, the impact on people. I mean, there may be lakhs of drivers across the country who are today engaged in driving commercial vehicles on the basis of the judgment in Devangan. Now, they will be completely put out of their livelihood, you know. So,
therefore, the government doesn't want...
not just, Mr. Attorney, this is not just a question of interpreting law. It's also a question of the social impact of the law. And you may have to balance, say, road safety on the one hand with the social purpose of the law. And to what extent would the interpretation in Devangan, that is a matter of policy for the government, to what extent would the interpretation in Devangan in that sense cause a serious impact on the concerns of the government insofar as maintaining road safety? You're developing infrastructure across the country. Will this cause serious hardships in the,
Even the law of insurance.
So, I mean, we can't decide issues of social policy in the Constitution bench. We have to go strictly by law. But we are just wondering whether it would be really, in that sense, wise to decide the question of law on a judgment which has held the field now for 6 years. Parliament, the government, and then Parliament can also review what is the actual impact of the implementation of this law. 6 years the law has been implemented.
Yes.
The insurance companies have one angle that, look, we should not be made to pay to take this liability at all. But the government can also take a call on what is the actual impact of the implementation of the law on the ground over the last 6 years. If the consequences are such that it does not pose any grave danger to road safety and protects, the right to livelihood, etc., or you may have some modifications in the future. Give some provision that, well, in the next 5 years or something like that, you must bring your licenses in conformity. You have like a sunset clause. So you may have a variety of options open to you, which we as a court don't have open to us.
True, true.
There's another.
You have to look at, the rapidly evolving transportation phase. You might have autonomous vehicles coming up. They are likely to come, or they're already being, they're already being experimented upon in other countries. India is not going to fall far behind, isn't it?
Check. Unquestionable.
Today use our own private vehicle, tomorrow morning to just utilize it for transport. So that is permissible today by a person who owns a car without going in and then taking another license for transport, when you can put your, like in Rapido also. So in such situation where you have permitted usage, flip-flop both of them, in such cases also it becomes very necessary to have, to permit a license, general license, to be utilized for commercial without seamlessly.
Government may also have
I
to, government may also have to look at, this. How many licensees do you have in the country who are capable of meeting the strict dichotomy which the insurance companies have urged? Suppose we put them out. Of course, one impact is the social impact on these drivers. But more than that, how many will you be left with? Will you have that supply today in the country?
I quite see that it has to be, yeah.
And like the Chief Justice was, you are looking at people having valid license or not valid license. You are looking at a scenario in future where, forget about a license, you don't have to have a person
Driver.
holding a license to drive the car.
That's true.
Driverless cars are coming,
That's true.
right?
That's
So you don't have to have a man, forget about a man
No,
having a license.
Well, one
Or a woman
takes
having a
stock of
license.
all these development that may take place.
All
But I
these
was
aspects
also,
will come in.
yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry, nothing.
Yeah, I was
These
also looking
aspects,
at,
and therefore this is really a matter, we feel that, it's for the government to really look at it holistically, you see, because you of course have the interests of the insurance companies, you have the interests of road safety, but you also have to balance the interests of people who may be shut out of their work, that livelihood, then the increase in the demand with the rapidly evolving transport sector. So
The strength of the legislature to deliberate upon this issue.
Which is
you
not
must
available to
utilize.
us.
You must
which is not
utilize.
available to
no,
us.
no, I understand that. That's why my first meeting was, I asked several questions which I didn't have ready answers. I mean, therefore we had to engage more in great depth about all these aspects. of the
Yesterday, in
matter.
fact, I mean, many of the lawyers are not here, of course, solicitor was here. Yesterday, when we referred the 124A sedition issue to Constitution Bench, we were also impressed, of course, by both your submissions that, look, legislature is deliberating. As you recall in our conversation yesterday, we felt that, look, you have to deal with constitutional issue because the prosecutions under the existing law will have to be dealt with. That's why but this is a pure statutory issue. See, and this statutory issue combined with intense issues of social policy, social implications, and government may, for instance, settle for a less than legal solution only to protect people whose livelihoods are involved. You see, government does that all the time. You don't go by strict legality because, you're also of the view that, okay, people are dependent on these.
So all that I'm trying.
Overlaying, the easiest thing for us to, in that sense, is to interpret the law and then come to the conclusion possibly that Devangan was wrongly decided because you didn't look at certain provision. But it's not that simple,
that's
the
not.
impact of it would be so, we are worried about the impact of that finding, on the sector, the economy.
I didn't intend to go beyond this very minimal
How should
statement made
we
today.
go about it? I mean, would you
Yeah.
like to just maybe have a chat with the solicitor and both of you, if you feel that government should, we'll hear you in a minute, that government would review the entirety of the position and then take an appropriate call and inform the court. If you still feel, that, look, Devangan is wrong, we have assessed the whole impact on the social sector.
I don't think I
The
can
road
make that
safety,
statement because
no, we'll not push you right now, not at
I
all.
don't-
It would not be fair
Yes.
because this is something which will have to be done at a policy level in the government. And if you still tell us that, no, look, decide the question of law, because we have reviewed it, and according to us, the impact of a wrong position in law will far outweigh the dangers of setting the law straight. And we will go by the present position of law. Then, of course, we'll then hear you also on the merits of the legal position, and we'll hear all the people who are on the other side. But if you tell us that, look, we'll look at everything dispassionately and then evaluate where should we.
Even thereafter this question.
Because the insurance
prospective-
companies also state, and
Prospectively
many of
looking
them
at
are
the
state-run
judgment and
insurance
whatever,
companies.
that question may still arise.
Before the learned attorney had a meeting with the officials, I also had a meeting with the officials. And at the official level, my lord, they also agree that it needs a relook.
A relook.